Hello dear students, I hope you all are fine and you all are doing well in your studies. Students, in the chapter of binomial theorem, so far we have studied about the expansion of binomial and the observations that we made in general term of a binomial. And after that we studied about middle terms and highest binomial coefficient in a binomial expansion. Now it is time to practice some of the questions that is based on the theory or concepts that we have learned so far. So in this particular session or lecture, we are going to solve some questions which will clarify our concepts that we have studied so far. So let's get started with solving the questions. So our first question says, the second, third and fourth terms in the binomial expansion of x plus a whole raised to the power n are 240, 720 and 1080 respectively. Find x, a and n. So we have a binomial x plus a whole raised to the power n in which we have been given information t2, that is second term is 240, third term is 720 and fourth term is 1080. So we are required to find the values of x, a and the exponent n. Alright, so let's begin with the solution part. See, first of all, we are going to write down the each term in terms of n, x and a. So T2, according to the formula of general term, T2 is going to be NC1, x raised to the power n minus 1 and a raised to the power 1, and this is 240. T3 is going to be NC2, x raised to the power n minus 2 a square, and this is 720. And T4 is NC3, x raised to the power n minus 3 a cube. This is given us as 1080. So we have three equations in terms of n, a and x. We have to solve them and determine the values of these unknown. So what I am going to do, I am going to divide equation number 2 by equation number 1 in order to get NC2 x raised to the power n minus 2 a square whole divided by NC1 x raised to the power n minus 1 a, and in RHS we are going to get 720 divided by 240. Alright, so here NC2 when divided by NC1, it follows the property that NCR divided by NCR minus 1, let me write it down, NCR divided by NCR minus 1 is equal to n minus r plus 1 over r. We can directly use this property in order to make the calculation part easy. So this becomes n minus 2 plus 1 divided by 2. Alright, now this part upon simplification becomes 1 by x, and this part a square divided by a becomes a in the numerator, and RHS is equal to what? 3. Alright, so in all we are going to get from here n minus 1 divided by x into a equals to 6. Alright, so similarly if I divide equation 3 by equation number 2, what we are going to get? NC3 x raised to the power n minus 3 a cube whole divided by NC2 x raised to the power n minus 2 a square, and in RHS we are going to get 1080 divided by 720. Alright, so again NCR upon NCR minus 1 becomes n minus r plus 1 divided by r 1 by x, and over here we have a, and in RHS we are going to get this ratio equal to 3 by 2. Alright, so again we have n minus 2 over x multiplied by a is equal to 9 by 2. Now let us name this equation as equation number 4, and let's suppose that this is equation number 5. Now once you divide equation number 4 and equation number 5, a and x, so this will get deleted. Alright, so we are left with n minus 1 divided by n minus 2 equals to 6 divided by 9 into 2. And upon simplification, we can have n equals to 5. Alright, now once we have determined the value of n as 5, substitute this value of n in equation number 4. So in numerator we get 5 minus 1, that is 4, and we get the ratio of a by x. So a by x is equal to 6 divided by 4, which is 3 by 2. Alright, now substitute this ratio a by x in equation number 1 over here. Equation number 1 can be written as NC1, which is n into x raised to the power n into a by x. See, x raised to the power n minus 1 into a has been written in this form. Alright, and this is equal to 240. So we have the value of NC1, which is n, and n is equal to what? 5 multiplied by x raised to the power 5 multiplied by a by x. A by x is 3 by 2 equals to 240. So upon simplification, x की power 5 comes out to be 2 raised to the power 5, which means that value of x is equal to what? 2. And now since x is also known, if I plug in this value of x over here in this equation, so 2 gets cancelled off in the denominator, which leaves us with the value of a as 3. So students, the value of a corresponding to this question is 3, x is equal to 2 and n is equal to 5. So ये question simply property पर based है और general term पर based है एक binomial expansion के. Alright, I hope. Second question says, find the middle terms in the expansions of this expansion and this binomial. Alright, so let's begin. In first part, we can see that value of n is an odd number, that is 7. So we are going to get two middle terms, and those middle terms will be t n plus 1 by 2th term and t n plus 3 by 2th term. So since we know that value of n is equal to 7, so the term is going to be 7 plus 1 by 2, which is t4, 7 plus 3 by 2, which is t5. So 4th and 5th term are going to be middle terms. So let's evaluate 4th term. 4th term is going to be 7c3, 3 raised to the power 4 and minus x cube by 6 whole raised to the power of 3. And 5th term is going to be 7c4, 3 raised to the power 3 and minus x cube by 6 whole raised to the power 4. Alright, so these two terms will be the middle terms. For the second part of this question, we have been given the value of exponent as 10, which is an even number. So we are going to have only one middle term, and that term will be t n plus 2 by 2th term. So substitute n is equal to 10, this becomes t6, and t6 will be written as 10c5 x by 3 whole raised to the power 5 and 9y whole raised to the power 5 again. So this is the middle term corresponding to the second part of the question. So these are simply based on the formula of middle terms. If you are comfortable in the formula of middle terms, then you will be able to sail through these questions. Alright, let's move further. Next question is based on the term independent of x. We have to find the term independent of x in the expansion of this binomial where x is greater than 0. So for term independent of x, we will have to write down the general term of this binomial expansion. So general term is tr plus 1, which is NCR, and n is equal to 18. So NCR becomes 18CR. Cube root of x raised to the power 18 minus r, and 1 by 2 times cube root of x whole raised to the power of r. So this becomes 18CR x raised to the power of 18 minus r by 3 and 1 by 2 raised to the power r, and then x raised to the power minus r by 3. X की power में we have 18 minus r by 3. X की power में we have minus r by 3. So x की power में total these two are going to be added. So this becomes x की power में we have 18 minus 2r divided by 3. Alright, why I am interested in x की power? Because we have been asked about the term independent of x. So as soon as the power of x vanishes, that term will be independent of x. So basically 18 minus 2r has to be equal to 0, which gives us r equals to 9. And when r is equal to 9, then 10th term will be the term independent of x. Now we can easily calculate it. This is equal to 18c9 and 1 by 2 whole raised to the power 9. So this is the term independent of x in this binomial expansion. I hope everybody must have got this question. Let's move further. Now we have to evaluate root 3 plus root 2 whole raised to the power 6 minus root 3 minus root 2 whole raised to the power 6. Now in this question you are not supposed to write down each and every term of the binomial expansion and then subtract them. But here is the theory part. Suppose that you have x plus y whole raised to the power n. We all know it's binomial expansion. This continues. And we have x minus y whole raised to the power n. Then its binomial expansion will be so on. Now if I add x plus y whole raised to the power n with x minus y whole raised to the power n, what I am going to get? Simply these terms are going to get added and these terms are going to get subtracted. So the terms that are present at first position, third position are going to get added 2 times. So we have 2 times first term plus third term plus fifth term and so on. Alright, this is the result when we add x plus y whole raised to the power n with x minus y raised to the power of n. Now if we subtract these two, x plus y raised to the power n minus x minus y whole raised to the power n, we are going to get 2 times. Now in case of subtraction, these terms, first term is going to get deleted, third term is going to get deleted, and these terms are going to get added twice. So this becomes 2 times a2 plus a4 plus a6. Alright, so this is just the theory behind all such kind of questions. So now coming back to the question, we have to evaluate root 3 plus root 2 whole raised to the power 6 minus this expression whole raised to the power 6. Now if this is x and this is y, so the first binomial is x plus y whole raised to the power n and second binomial is x minus y whole raised to the power n, and we are subtracting. So on subtraction, we are going to get 2 times second term plus 4 terms. So I can simply write down this is equal to 2 times a2 plus a4 plus a6 and so on. So 2 times a2. What is going to be the second term in this binomial expansion? It is going to be 6c1 root 3 raised to the power 5 and root 2 raised to the power 1. Next, fourth term 6c3 root 3 की power में 3 and root 2 की power में again 3. Next will be a6 and a6 is 6c5 root 3 power में 1 and root 2 whole raised to the power of 5. Alright, now after that you are going to have a8 and a8 will not exist in root 3 plus root 2 raised to the power 6 because total there will be 7 terms. So that's it. I think it's time to close the bracket. So now we have to just perform the calculation part. So this becomes 2 times 6c1 is 6 and root 3 whole raised to the power 5 becomes 9 root 3 multiplied by root 2 and 6c3 will be equal to 20. Root 3 raised to the power 3 will be 3 root 3 and this becomes 2 root 2. Alright, 65 is again 6, and we have 1 root 3, and then we have 4 root 2. Alright, so here we have 54 root 6, here we have 120 root 6, and here we have 24 root 6 multiplied by 2. So this becomes 2 times 120 and 174, 178, 198. So this is 198 root 6. So in all, this gives us 396 root 6. Alright, so this is the value of root 3 plus root 2 की power 6 minus root 3 minus root 2 whole raised to the power 6. This is the final answer. So if you memorize this theory, or if you keep in mind this much theory, so it is going to help you in many questions that are asked in JEE. Next question says, if a and b are distinct integers, prove that a minus b is a factor of a raised to the power n minus b raised to the power n whenever n is a positive integer. Based on NCERT, a and b are distinct integers and n is a positive integer, that a minus b a की power n minus b की power n का एक factor होगा. We can write down a as a minus b plus b. I think this is not going to make anyone worried, right? Because I have written a as a minus b plus b whole raised to the power n minus bn. So far so good. Now this will be a binomial in which first term is this a minus b and second term is a plus b inside the bracket. Alright, so applying the expansion of binomial, we can write it down as nc0 a minus b raised to the power n and b raised to the power 0. Next term is going to be nc1 a minus b raised to the power of n minus 1 b की power में 1. And then we have nc2 a minus b whole raised to the power of n minus 2 b square, and so on. Now before last term we will have ncn minus 1 a minus b raised to the power 1 and b raised to the power n minus 1. And last term is going to be what? Last term is going to be ncn a minus b raised to the power 0 and b raised to the power of n. Alright, I have written down the binomial expansion of a minus b plus b whole raised to the power n. Now along with it we have minus b raised to the power n. So I am writing it over here, minus b raised to the power n. So one can easily observe that from this term, this term, this term, and this continues till the second last term, we are going to have at least one factor a minus b as common. One can easily observe that a minus b can be taken as common. Alright, and whatever is left apart from a minus b, consider it to be equal to lambda. We are not interested in it, so we have considered it to be lambda. Now we are left with this part. So ncn is 1, a minus b raised to the power 0 is again 1. So here we have b raised to the power n and then minus b raised to the power n, which gets cancelled off. So what we are left with? We are left with a minus b multiplied by lambda. Alright, so a raised to the power n minus b raised to the power n is equal to a minus b times lambda, which simply proves that a minus b is a factor of a की power n minus b की power n for all positive integers n. So we have just done a replacement of a with a minus b plus b, and then we have applied the binomial expansion, and rest is mathematics. Right? I hope everybody must have understood this simple but yet an important problem, which in itself is a good result to be memorized. Alright, let's move forward. So our next question says, show that the coefficient of the middle term in the expansion of 1 plus x raised to the power 2n is equal to the sum of the coefficients of two middle terms in the expansion of 1 plus x whole raised to the power of 2n minus 1. So we have a binomial 1 plus x raised to the power 2n and another binomial 1 plus x raised to the power of 2n minus 1. So we are required to first calculate the coefficient of middle term. Since the exponent is even, there is going to be one middle term, and that middle term is t2n plus 2 divided by 2, this term. So this is equal to tn plus 1, and tn plus 1 is 2ncn x raised to the power n. And we are interested in coefficient. So coefficient turns out to be 2ncn. Now over here the exponent is odd. So we are going to get two middle terms, and those two middle terms are t2n minus 1 plus 1 by 2th term and t2n minus 1 plus 3 by 2th term. So this becomes tn and this becomes tn plus 1. So tn is equal to 2n minus 1 because we are calculating tn with respect to this exponent or this binomial. So this becomes 2n minus 1 c n minus 1 x raised to the power of n minus 1. And tn plus 1 becomes 2n minus 1 cn x raised to the power of n. Alright, but again we are interested in the coefficients. So I am encircling the coefficients. Now what we are required to prove is that the coefficients of middle terms in this binomial expansion, that is this one and this one, upon adding would give us the coefficient of middle term in this binomial expansion, that is 2ncn. This is the demand of the question. So once we add these two coefficients, we are going to get 2n minus 1 cn minus 1 plus 2n minus 1 cn. Now they are following the property of NCR plus NCR minus 1. If we call this as R, this becomes R minus 1. So NCR plus NCR minus 1 is equal to N plus 1 CR. Alright. So we are required to raise this quantity by 1 and R has to be written as N according to the property of NCR plus NCR minus 1 equals to N plus 1 CR. So this simply becomes, if I have an increment of 1 over here, this becomes 2nc. R was n. So this becomes 2ncn, and hence proved. The sum of these two coefficients is equal to the coefficient of this one. Alright. So this was also a very simple problem based on property this one, NCR plus NCR minus 1 equals to N plus 1 CR, and some fundamentals of middle terms in the binomial expansion. So students, I hope along with me you must have practiced these questions and you must have been able to crack them. So this is it for today's class. We will continue with some previous year questions in the next lecture. This is it for today's lecture. See you in the next lecture.